5-4 victory over the host nation, France. Defensive leaders led by Matt Simpson secured this hard-fought win, setting the stage for a dominant 14-7 victory over Iran in the final pool play match. With standout performances from Callahan Young, Tyler Marin, and Christian King, the team concluded pool play on a high note, advancing to the knockout rounds. Battles in the knockout stage. In a tense quarterfinal match against Japan, the U.S. fought in a close 4-6 loss, showcasing their fighting spirit until the very end. In the 5th and 6th place classification match, they took on Iran once again in a nail-biting contest that came down to the final moments. Despite their efforts, they narrowly missed a 5th place finish, wrapping up their Paralympic run with their heads held high. Although Team USA concluded their Paris journey in 6th place, the experience and growth gained by both our seasoned veterans and promising newcomers have laid a powerful foundation for the future. This tournament marked the Paralympic debuts of Christian King, Zion Walker, and Trayshawn Fasson, who showcased immense potential and added impressive depth to our team. Our veterans, 2-time Paralympian Callahan Young, 3-time Paralympian Matt Simpson, and 6-time Paralympian Tyler, 5. Okay. Too many noises from the crowd over here. And 5-time Paralympian Tyler Marin led with courage and heart. Young emerged as an offensive powerhouse, while Marin's wealth of experience and Simpson's defense strength offered invaluable guidance and consistency on the court. Together, these remarkable athletes have inspired hope and excitement for what lies ahead. A bright future awaits USA Go Ball. And now on to the women's program. The USA Women's Program finished its 2024 season this month at the Spanish Blind Sports Federation International Go Ball Tournament in Madrid. In a challenging double round robin format, Team USA faced off against Spain, Spain Juniors, and Finland, showcasing both emerging talent and veteran leadership of 6-time Paralympians Asia Miller and Lisa Czechowski, along with Paralympian Mindy Cook. Finishing in 2nd place, this tournament provided valuable international experience for young players and a strong showing against some of the world's top teams. Road to LA 28 begins now for the USA Go Ball men's and women's national teams. In partnership with the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee, we are excited to announce today that the USA Go Ball men's and women's national teams will be training here in Colorado Springs. I want to thank and recognize Kyle McGinnis and Justin Miller for being such great partners. Our teams will be at the Olympic and Paralympic Training Center starting early next year, so let's take a moment to celebrate and recognize these athletes and coaches who are here today. Let's start with the USA Go Ball Women's National Team and coaching stand. Please stand to be recognized and stay standing. Lisa Czechowski from New Jersey, 6-time Paralympian, 5-time medalist. Ellie Lawson from Jasper, Georgia, national team athlete. Amanda Dennis, Peachtree City, Georgia, 3-time Paralympian, 2-time medalist. Haley Andres, I'm pretty sure you live in Florida and you're a national team athlete. Thank you for being here today. Veronica Hyatt, St. Petersburg, Florida, national team athlete. And one of our board members and also our representative to the USOPC AAC, Eliana Mason, Beaverton, Oregon, 2-time Paralympian, 2-time medalist. And And a big shout out to our coaching staff, John Potts from Shiloh, Illinois, and Karen Zabel from Yorktown, Indiana. I also want to mention that Karen is a 3-time Paralympian and a 3-time medalist. Let's give her a round of applause. And, sorry, Asia Miller, Portland, Oregon, 6-time Paralympian, 5-time medalist. Asia. Thank you, ladies, so much for your dedication and commitment to your sport and to your communities. All right, now let's move on to the USA Goalball Men's National Team and coaching staff. Please stand to be recognized and stay standing. Tyler Marion, Greenville, Michigan, 5-time Paralympian, 2-time medalist. Matt Simpson, Atlanta, Georgia, 3-time Paralympian, 1-time medalist. Virginia Beach, Virginia, Paralympian. Trayshawn Fesson, Orange Park, Florida, Paralympian. Zion Walker from Winchester, Virginia, Paralympian. Jordan Main, National Team Athlete. Zach Mueller, Huntington, Indiana, Paralympian. And a big shout out to our coach, Keith Young, Jacksonville, Florida. Thank you, gentlemen, and again, congratulations on your journey to the Paris Paralympic Games, and we're so proud of you for all the work that you've done this past year. With a perfect blend of seasoned veterans and rising stars, both teams are poised for an unforgettable performance on home soil in Los Angeles. The journey continues, and the lessons, challenges, and triumphs from this past Paralympic quad will drive them forward on the road to LA 28, where they're determined to make history in front of a passionate hometown crowd and across the nation. These teams have heart, skill, and unwavering dedication to make our nation proud. To our incredible fans and supporters, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Your encouragement and belief in us fuel our dreams, and we can't wait to take the next steps forward together toward a bright and promising future here at the new Olympic and Paralympic Training Center as we start our journey to LA 28. Now we're going to move on to our second sport, blind soccer. This past weekend, the USA Blind Soccer National Team made history, competing in its first internationally recognized matches, facing 2 opponents, England, ranked 16th, and Japan, ranked 4th. Team USA had the opportunity to test their skills on the global stage. The athletes selected to represent Team USA were Alvaro Mora, Ramon Oseas, Ricky Castaneda, Grant Heron, Ethan Coons, Cody Kirchner, Charles Catherine, Ahmed Sharif, David Brown, and Mark Baker. The coaching staff was led by Ryan Lazzaro, George Polanco, and here with us today, Kyle Knott. Kyle, give us a wave. Though Team USA faced some tough defeats against world-class opponents, these experiences have become invaluable learning opportunities. The team has returned stronger, better prepared, and more determined than ever as they gear up for major tournaments in 2025 and set their sights on making an unforgettable impact at the LA 28 Paralympic Games. Beyond the official matches, Team USA embraced every moment, participating in practice games and sharing meaningful time with their international peers. These encounters gave our athletes a deeper understanding of the commitment and dedication needed to excel on the world stage. They've come back inspired and ready to elevate their training, driven to create a lasting legacy for blind soccer in the United States. This weekend also marked a historic milestone as we dedicated a brand new blind soccer pitch for Team USA, proudly manufactured right here in our country. With this first ever International Blind Sports Federation certified pitch in our country, we also hosted the inaugural referee certification for 11 passionate referees from across the country. Congratulations to both of our incredible teams, Goalball and Blind Soccer, for an outstanding season. We can't wait to embark on the LA 28 Paralympic quad with renewed energy and united spirit. It's now time for the highlight of today's program. We're honored to welcome a true inspiration, 5-time Paralympian and 2-time medalist, Tyler Marin. His incredible journey of perseverance and triumph has touched the lives of many, and we're so excited to hear his powerful story. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Tyler Marin.
Okay. Start the timers, guys. I was warned. Matt wants me to have 6. I think that's why he kept throwing that number out there. So, guys, I'm so excited to be here, to be able to present to this fantastic group, to represent this organization. And you know, my hope is that by the end of my presentation, not only will you see the strength that each of you can bring out, not only will you see the true champion within each one of you, but my hope is that you'll be able to see the strength that is brought out through organizations like the USABA and the partners that they work with to help support athletes like myself and the others that you see here in the room today. So my computer is misbehaving. Let me see if I can get my notes pulled up. Oh, goodness gracious. Sorry. There we go. I got it. So, as I stood on the medal stand in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, feeling the weight of the medal hanging around my neck, and my mind and my body just exhausted from the days of competition and the weeks and months, even years of preparation leading to this event. I stood shoulder to shoulder with my teammates and felt the energy of the stadium, the electric shock of the crowd. Just everybody packed into the stadium. The flags began to raise up and the anthems began to play. And I thought to myself about some of the events in my life that had brought me to this point. You know, when I was a kid, I was not exactly tagged for success. I was never able to catch a pass in a pickup game of basketball. I was never the first kid picked on any sports team. And there were always those who doubted what I was capable of. And yet here I was on the stage of one of the most prestigious events in the world, winning a medal for the United States. And I thought, how in the world did I get to this point? Right? And as I thought back through the years, I realized that there were some lessons that I learned along the way and some events that really brought me through to this point. And what I want to do today is take you on a little journey with me. I want you to go back through the archives with me a little bit and see the steps that I learned along the way and the adventures that I went through to learn how to bring out the true champion in each one of us. And yeah, I'm kind of an action guy. I like practical steps. I like taking action. So I've got 5 words that I'm going to give you guys, and I'm going to kind of expand upon these. So the 5 verbs that I want you to keep in mind are to look, take, decide, develop, and seek. And I'm going to expand on those. So I was born on a farm in southwest Michigan, and no, I'm sorry, I was born in a hospital. I grew up on a farm in southwest Michigan, and my parents noticed something about me that was a little bit different from my siblings. You know, I would look at people when I was talking to them, but my eyes would kind of shift to the side a little bit, right? And I would come running out of my room and you know, I was going to go outside and play, but I would smash into something along the way. And I was a pretty rough kid, so it usually didn't slow me down too much. Sorry, Mom, I broke it, and then I just kind of keep going, you know. So my parents were like, what in the world is going on with this? They took me to a specialist and said, you know, there's something going on with his vision. And the first specialist that my parents took me to said, you know what, he's got an underdeveloped retina, he'll grow out of it, it's not a big deal. And they said, well, that doesn't seem right. He's wrecking all of our furniture. We need to figure out what's happening here. So they took me to a second specialist, and specialist number 2 had a little bit of a different story to tell them. Specialist number 2 said, I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but your son has an eye condition that is going to render him totally blind. He's going to need to go to a special school. He's going to need to have 24/7 care for the rest of his life. Now, my parents, you know, were 9-to-5 folk, and growing up in a rural area, they didn't know about organizations like the USABA. They didn't know the capabilities of a blind person. So this was a pretty heavy thing for them, right? My dad says that when we were driving home from this appointment, he had to pull off to the side of the road and just stop for a minute and just breathe. And he was afraid of what this meant for my life. Really, if we get down to it, he was afraid, right? Firstborn son, he's got aspirations of his kid being the star quarterback, the starting pitcher, and now he's being told by this physician that his kid is going to be helpless. You know, my dad had a fear for what my life was going to be. And my parents, at that moment, made a decision that would affect me for the rest of my life. And really, without realizing it, taught me the first lesson to see the true champion within. They didn't let the fear decide what was going to happen in my life. They looked beyond fear to make a decision for what we were going to do as a family and what I was going to be. They said to themselves, well, yeah, his eyes aren't working very well, but there's nothing wrong with his back, and we got a lot of chores to do on the farm. So we're gonna do what we need to do. And so I grew up in a family where we kind of figured it out, right? You know, we get together with my cousins and play baseball. I got the beach ball and the big Nerf bat, right? That was the adaptations. We figured things out as we went along. We didn't let fear stop us from what we were going to do, right? And I want to clarify, when I talk about fear, you know, I'm not talking about the kind of fear like, you know, you're walking along and something jumps out and startles you and you jump, like, you know, that's the kind of fear that keeps you from getting eaten by things, right? That's a good kind of fear. I'm talking about the kind of fear that's like, man, that gut-wrenching, knowing I could fail type fear, right? I could fail at this. And that's the kind of fear that we can't let get in the way of the things that we want in life. We have to look beyond that fear to determine who we want to be and what we want to do. You know, I did this pretty well through most of my life. I didn't always do it perfectly. Right? I loved basketball when I was a kid. Had enough vision. I loved shooting hoops. But as I got a little bit older, my vision started getting worse and worse. And I tried out for the middle school basketball team, and because I was a decent athlete, I played basketball all the time in the driveway, I made the team. There was about a week before our first game, I was at a practice, and I got hit in the face twice by passes that I didn't see coming towards me. And I had one moment where I had kind of a breakaway play. I was going down the court, and I went to go for a layup, and I'm looking around, and I can't see the hoop. And anybody think that's a problem in basketball, right? Can't figure out where I'm supposed to shoot. So I quit. I quit the team. I was afraid. I was afraid that I was going to step out on the court and fail and let the team down. So there were times that I didn't always do it successfully. But there was one lesson that really drove this home for me. And a little bit later on in life, I'm getting into kind of my middle school years, early high school years at this point. I started getting around other blind persons, so mentors and peers, started learning from them. And I called up one of my buddies one day. He was older mentor. He was going to college. He was one of the USA goalball players, and I was talking to him a little bit. I called him up. Hey, how's it going, man? What's going on? He said, well, I'm on campus. I'm headed out to a concert. I was like, oh, that's really cool. Where's the concert? He said, I don't know. I'm going to find it. And I was like, you're wandering around campus and looking for a concert. You don't even know where it is. And he said, yeah, man, it's a concert. You just got to listen for it. I'm aiming for it, right? And I said, well, what if you get lost or something? And he said, you cannot be afraid to get out there and get lost. You let fear dictate your movements like that, you're going to miss out on a whole world of opportunities. Right? And while he's telling me this, he ran into a tree branch and started swinging his cane around, and I was trying not to laugh. It was really funny. I said, you okay, man? And yeah, I'm good. And I gotta go. I'm gonna go find this concert. And he did, and he had a great time, right? And it solidified this idea to me that you cannot let fear be in the driver's seat, right? So I took this lesson to heart, and the next lesson for me was to come pretty quickly after that, not from a mentor this time, but from a peer of mine. So I'm in my early high school years. My vision is declining a little bit more, but making some friends, playing a little bit of goalball. And I had one of my teammates over to my house to stay for a couple of days for the summer. We were on summer vacation. My family by this point had sold the farm and moved into town, quote unquote. Town being literally one stoplight, that sort of thing. So wasn't exactly into town, but we lived on a street that was pretty busy, a lot of fast-moving cars. So my friend is hanging out with me, and what do we want to do today? I said, I don't know. We're kind of stuck here until my dad gets home. So we can just hang out, play some video games or something. I said, I don't want to do that. It sounds boring. What's downtown? I was like, well, I mean, there's some stuff we can do, but we can't really get there. And he said, well, why not? And I said, well, I don't know. And he said, well, you got running shoes, right? I said, yeah. He said, well, get your running shoes on. Okay. So I got my running shoes on, and we ran 2 miles into town. We stayed very far onto the shoulder of the road to keep ourselves from getting run over by tractors, but we made it into town, and I was like, this is so cool. And, there's the bar, that's where people drink. You got the gas station, people get gas there, it's about it, it's all we got, But, it was such a cool experience that I was like, wow, I didn't have to stay home. Like, I just went and got done what I needed to do. And what I learned from this, we need to look beyond fear. We can't let fear decide for us, but we also need to take full ownership of who we are and what our situation is, right? We need to take ownership of what we're becoming. When I was in middle school, anybody in here remember being in middle school, like one of the last things you want to do is stand out, right? Like, I didn't want to use a cane, I didn't want to learn to read Braille, I didn't want to do any of that stuff, I didn't want to be different. And this moment solidified for me, hey man, you are different, but that's okay. And you need to take full ownership of who you are. Nobody is going to come out and see success for you. You have to be the one to take control of the situation. And so I started really digging into learning to use a cane, learning to read Braille, being a good blind person, and making myself more successful, not waiting for my teachers or anybody else to make it happen for me. And so as I took these lessons to heart and started getting into my mid-high school, late high school years, the next thing that came along for me came in the form of another person's story, not anybody that I knew, but I want to start this section off with a little bit of a joke, and I'm going to tell you guys this joke. I would really appreciate it if you laugh. It's pretty stupid, but my ego is pretty sensitive. So there's a small airport, right? This plane is about to take off at this small airport, and the passengers get on the plane, and everybody gets settled in, and the pilots come on the plane, and both pilots have dark sunglasses on. They both have white canes, and they kind of tap their way into the cockpit and close the door. Everybody's like, oh, yeah, funny, blind pilot, we get it, real hilarious. Well, they make the announcements, and the engines kick on, and the plane starts down this runway. And at the end of the runway, there's this huge lake, huge body of water, and the plane is picking up speed. It's going faster and faster, but it's not taking off. And the passengers are kind of looking out the window, this water getting closer and closer, and just before the plane is about to smash into the water, the people in the cabin scream really loud, and then the nose of the plane jerks up, and the plane takes off. Everybody kind of looks around a little chagrined, like, God, they got us. Thought we were going to go in that lake. And it's kind of quiet in the cockpit for a minute, and so one of the pilots says, you know, one of these days, they're not going to scream soon enough, and we're going to end up right in that water. I was going to laugh for It's a stupid joke. But I tell the joke because we laugh at it, but I know not only one, but two pilots who are blind. I know two different guys who have their private pilot's licenses. They fly their own airplanes. They have co-pilots that fly with them and read off their instruments and help them to like navigate the instruments, but they fly their own airplanes. Now, my guess is that before my stupid joke and that fact, most of us in this room probably didn't think it was possible for somebody who was blind to fly an airplane. Right, so the next lesson that I learned was that we need to decide that it's possible. Henry Ford is quoted in saying, whether you think you can do a thing or you think you cannot, you're right. Yeah, we go through life with these assumptions about what we are capable of, maybe as individuals or when we see others and you know, maybe they have some differences and disabilities. We have these assumptions about what they are capable of. And what we need to do is we need to look beyond fear. We need to take full ownership, but we also need to decide that it's possible. As soon as you say, well, that can't be done, the door closes. When you start asking the question, how can this be done? Then things open up. Anybody in here know the story of Roger Bannister? If you want to say yes, you may age yourself a little bit. Yeah, okay, there we got a few. So, yeah, Roger Bannister, and this is kind of where I picked this lesson up. Roger Bannister's story was fantastic. Roger Bannister was a runner for the United Kingdom. He was a sprinter in the 1950s, and he lived at a time when it was thought to be physiologically impossible to run a mile in less than 4 minutes, a sub 4 minute mile. There were actually articles published about how the human body couldn't sustain this kind of pace. But Roger Bannister didn't think so. He didn't think that was the case. He trained himself in kind of an unconventional way, and in May of 1954, on a cold, wet, rainy day, they said if anybody was going to do this, it had to be just perfect conditions, sunny, warm weather, lots and lots of people cheering this person on. So on a cold, wet, rainy day in 1954, he ran a mile in 3 minutes, 59.8 seconds, I believe it was. So he did it. He broke the 4 minute barrier. Now, about a month later, somebody else did it. A few months later, a few more people did it. Roger Bannister himself went back and beat his own record multiple times. And, you know, we have on record today hundreds of people who do this, right? Like, don't get me wrong, that's still lightning, that's fast, right? But people do it all the time now. And the question is, why is it that pre-1954 nobody could do it, and afterwards lots of people do? You know, you can talk about track composition and footwear and things like that, but really, what it comes down to is people know they can, right? They know that it's possible. And so when I heard this story, I decided that I was going to be everything that I thought maybe had been impossible up until I had learned some of these lessons. I decided that I wanted to be a father, I wanted to be a husband, I wanted to go to college and get a degree, I wanted to have a full-time job and raise a family, I wanted to travel around the world and start a business and be an elite athlete and do all of these things that most of the world might say would be impossible for me to do. Right? But I had decided that I was capable. I decided that I was in a position where I could make this happen. Now I had to figure out how to do it. Once you decide something is possible, the next step is to figure out how to get there. So I'm gonna read this. I think you'd call it a poem or a stanza. Maybe somebody with an English major could tell me what you'd call this, but I don't quite have it fully memorized, so bear with me. It reads, I am your constant companion. I'm your greatest helper or your heaviest burden. I'll push you onward or drag you down to failure. I am completely at your command. Half the things you do, you might as well just turn over to me, and I'll be able to do them quickly and correctly. I'm easily managed, you must merely be firm with me. Show me exactly how you want something done, and after a few lessons, I'll do it automatically. I'm the servant of all great men, and alas, of all failures as well. Those who are great, I have made great. Those who are failures, I have made failures. I'm not a machine, though I work with the precision of a machine, plus the intelligence of a man. You may run me for profit, you may run me for ruin. It makes no difference to me. Take me, train me, be firm with me, and I will put the world at your feet. Be easy with me, and I will destroy you. Who am I? I am habit. So, I figured out in my late high school, early college years, that if I was going to become all of the things that I had set out to be, I had to develop positive habits to get me to that place. Right? So, my typical day while I was in college was something along the lines of this. My alarm would go off somewhere around 5:30 in the morning, and I would hit the alarm as quickly as I could, because if I woke up my wife or my young kids, there would be a reckoning, I promise you. And I would get up, gather my stuff, I'd head off to school, I'd hit the gym, get in a morning workout, and living in Michigan, in the middle of the wintertime, going to classes, it's dark, it's cold, it's miserable. Get done with my workout, and for whatever reason, there was never hot water. We have the technology, I don't understand, but I would get into the shower and it would spray some kind of combination of ice slush water at me. It was awful. But I was up, alive, I was awake, alert. I would go to classes. The other students were coming in their pajamas with a cup of coffee in each hand, and I'm top of the morning to you. They hated my guts. It was pretty fantastic. I would go to class. After class, I typically had more training than I would do. I worked part-time. Lots of different things that I did day after day after day after day to drive myself to be the things that I had set out to be. And over the years, I started checking things off my list. Right? Like I said, I got married, started a family. I graduated from college with a degree in exercise science, a bachelor's in exercise science. Became a personal trainer, certified strength and conditioning coach. So I started working full-time, grew the family. I was competing with the USA team, so I was traveling around the world, competing in goal wall. We had bought a house, and I was mowing the lawn, and we had a cat, and I kind of regret the cat, but the rest of it was really fantastic. And so I started checking these things off my list, right? It was fantastic, and I had come so far leading up into 2012, 2013, in that time frame, 2014, I had checked so many boxes. I had won a junior national championship, a national championship, multiple international tournaments. I'd been MVPs and athlete of the month in different areas, and just all these awards and accolades. And yet the one thing that I was still missing, the one capstone to my career that I was still grabbing for, was a Paralympic gold medal. And so, leading into the Rio Games, we had qualified in 2014 for the Rio Games, and having been on the USA team for 13 years by that point, I was looking at Rio as my big opportunity, right? We had guys who were fired up, ready to play. We had opened up the residency program. The USABA had pulled together the residency program in Fort Wayne, Indiana, so we had guys who were training round the clock, and we were just all cylinders firing, and we were on it. So I started training harder than I've ever trained before. And, so my positive habits that I developed kept cruising with me, so I'm working at the gym, I'm training my clients. In between training clients, I'm getting myself a workout in and trying to prep for these games. And to the point, I was working so hard that it was to the point where people were seeing this, right? People at the gym seeing me work out and train. And I was walking home from work one day, and I was just beat. I was exhausted. I'd been working all day. I'd gotten in my workout. And as I was walking home, I'm kind of walking along a pretty busy street. We were living in Coral Springs, Florida at this point. And up ahead of me, about 40 yards, I heard a car jump up on the sidewalk on the tire. Boom, the car goes on the sidewalk. Like, what is this joker doing? And the guy gets out of his car and walks back towards me. And so I stop, and he says, "Hey man, I know that you're leaving work. I don't want to bother you too much, but I wanted to come and talk to you for a second." He said, "You don't know who I am, but I've been watching you at the gym for the last several months." And I was like, "All right, well, this is a weird start, but let's see where this goes." Right? And he says, I've been watching you, man, and I'm super inspired by what you're doing. And I want to shake your hand and tell you thank you. You've inspired me to make some things right in my life. I'm going back home. I've got some things I need to take care of, and I just wanted to say thank you." And blown away, right? I was just like, wow, this is really cool. I shook his hand and said, "Thanks, man. I really appreciate that." And it was just this really cool moment where I realized that I was bringing this guy along on this journey with me without even realizing it, right? It was incredible. And I was like, "Dude, you better get your car off the sidewalk. You're about to get ticketed for sure." And he said, So it was just such a cool experience. And so 2016 comes around, and we get ready to head out to the games. We go through processing, we get to the games, and we start the competition. And it was fantastic. We started off really strong. We had some wins, we had some losses. It came out pretty strong in our pool and made the final match. We got to quarterfinals, and we just barely beat Germany in the quarterfinal match. Last 30 seconds of the game, we were able to put in a couple of goals to win by 1 point to get into the Final Four, into the dance. So for 15 years pursuing this gold medal, I'm 2 games away from this. And so the morning of the semifinal match happens, we get up and we head off to the gym to get ready for the game. And we had drawn a semifinal match against Brazil. Brazil was pretty heavily favored in this tournament. They had by far scored more goals and allowed fewer than any other team. They had the home crowd advantage, so pretty big deal that we were playing against Brazil in the semifinals. So we go out and get padded up and suited up and warmed up and all the offset we got to do. Got to get ready for this game. We get into the tunnel and we're getting ready to march into the stadium. And we've got USA standing over here on one side and Brazil standing over here on the other. Brazil is hyped. They are pumped, man. They are a bunch of young guys, a bunch of young guns are jumping around. They're hitting each other on the shoulders. They got this like tribal chant thing going on. Like it it was awesome, right? It was honestly a little intimidating, if I'm being real. It was pretty crazy. Like, we walk into the stadium and just 8,000 people, the stadium goes crazy, right? 7,994 Brazilian fans, about 6 people, 4 people waving USA flags. So it was home crowd, big time home crowd. And we had quite a group there supporting us, but it was incredible how much home crowd there was. And it was amazing. We got started with the match, and we just absolutely trounced these guys. We beat them by a score of 10-1 in a major upset, like biggest upset of the tournament. And it was just absolutely wild how badly we beat them. After the game, all the guys gathered up in the middle of the court. I'm like, man, this is amazing. I love you guys. I don't know if we're gonna make it out of here alive. a lot of really upset Brazilian fans right now, but they were super gracious. The games were amazing. But we did it, right? We were there. We were in that final match. And so we got up the morning of the final game, gold medal match against Lithuania. And Lithuania had also been chasing that gold medal for a number of years. So this was going to be a fight. We knew it from the beginning. So we got up and we went to the gym and got padded up and suited up and all those things that we do. And step into the tunnel, and we got USA lined up on this side and Lithuania lined up on this side. And Lithuania is not doing any kind of chant or shoulder smacking, jumping around. They're laser focused. Their eyes are forward, their head is up, their shoulders back. They're not really moving. I'm not even sure that they're breathing. Honestly, it was pretty intense. That was almost more intimidating, right? So these guys are like super focused, and we marched into the stadium and we begin that final game. And we trade shots back and forth, and the game is progressing. And Lithuania pulls ahead, and we start to fight back. We make substitutions. We bring guys in who start really breathing some life into the game, and some penalty shots happen, and substitutions, referees calls, all kinds of craziness. The game happens all the way down to the wire, right to the end of the final whistle of that game that I sought to capstone my career. And as I stood on the medal stand in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, feeling the weight of that silver medal hanging around my neck after losing that final game, I realized that there was one more lesson that I had to learn in seeing the true champion within. I had spent a lifetime looking beyond fear and taking full ownership. I had decided it was possible. I developed the positive habits to push me towards my goals. But in the end, I fell short. And I had to decide at that moment what that meant. Why is it that all of the work that we put in as a team, that I put in, came up short? What did that mean for me? And what I learned at that moment was that being a true champion is not really about the medals and the trophies and the awards, and those are good things. Don't misunderstand me. Pursue them. They're fantastic to pursue. But a true champion is somebody who tries to be better today than they were yesterday, and better tomorrow than they are today. A true champion is somebody who brings people along in their wake. They impact positively the lives of those around them. This guy that I mentioned at the gym, never met him before, never met him since. But I changed his life by his words. I changed the path of his life. And that is the sign of a true champion. When you can change the lives of those around you, and you can be better every day that you wake up. As I took these lessons to heart, it made me think about the organizations that were there for me. In the 1990s and early 2000s, when I was losing a lot of my vision, I'm a skinny, scared teenager, not knowing what my life was going to be. There were people and there were organizations that stepped in at that moment to support me. The jacket that I'm wearing here, I pulled out deliberately. You know, for 20 plus years, I've been able to rep this kind of gear for the USA team. This is the opening ceremony jacket from the 2004 Athens Games. You know, so I've been able to travel all over the world because of the things that I've been given in sport. But it wouldn't be the case if it were not for organizations like the United States Association of Blind Athletes, who long before I got this jacket were there to support me and there to give me the opportunities to see the true champion within. As I close up today, I would ask that you guys go through a little exercise with me, if you will. Wherever you're sitting, just if you sit up straight for me, and I'm going to ask you to close your eyes for a minute. For some of us, it's a moot point. Close your eyes for a minute, and I want you to imagine just for a moment that this is now your life. You've been given a diagnosis. You've been to the doctor, and they said, this is how you're going to be from now on. What are you going to do? Where are you going to go? What are you going to be? How are you going to do your laundry? How are you going to take care of your kids? Like, these are the questions that are probably going to start flooding through your mind, right? You don't know about blindness and the abilities that people have. You are afraid of what's going to be. But while you were at this doctor's appointment, they told you about an organization. They told you about a sport and different sports that blind people compete in. And they told you about this organization that leads the charge to better the lives of people who are blind and visually impaired through sport. And just for a moment, you've got a glimmer of hope. The darkness maybe isn't quite as dark as it seems at first. Now, if you would open your eyes and look towards the middle of your table, you're going to find a QR code there. And I'm going to ask you to make a donation to the USADA, knowing that your donation will not give any of these athletes sight, but I promise you that it will give them vision. It'll give them a vision for what they can become. It'll give them a vision for how to become a true champion. Thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you letting me speak.
With the USA Goalball program. This legacy has been made possible through the dedication of our athletes, coaches, board of directors, partners, and generous donors. One donor in particular, Ron Plasman, played a pivotal role in the development of our Goalball resident program in Fort Wayne, Indiana. To honor this incredible contribution, we established the Ronald W. Plasman Gold Standard Award. It is my pleasure to invite three-time Paralympian and medalist Matt Simpson to share more about the remarkable Plasman family and to announce this year's recipient of the Ron Plasman Gold Standard Award, now proudly in its third year. Please join me in welcoming Matt Simpson.
Thank you, tough shoes to follow. I promise I won't try to make you cry like Tyler did. So, everyone in this room who stood up a while ago while they announced USA Goalball national team members, Paralympians, medalists, every single one of our lives was changed by a man named Ron Plasman. I got the chance to meet Ron 10 years ago. We flew out to Fort Wayne. We were talking about starting a residency program, and we sat next to this man at dinner. And little did I know that he would become one of the most influential people on this organization, on my life, and on the lives of every single blind athlete in this room. So it's my sincere honor to get to announce this award that honors his legacy as he passed away a couple years ago. And the recipient of this year's award, someone I met when I was 12 years old. And, sorry, still got those allergies from Tyler's speech. When I was 12 years old, I had no idea what my life as a blind person would be like. I had no clue. Could I be a husband? Could I be a father? Could I be a college student? Could I be an employee? Could I be, anything? I had no idea. But when I was 12 years old, I went to a sports education camp hosted by the U.S. Association of Blind Athletes, and I met a man who was all of those things. And he was a Paralympian and a future medalist. And so, a lot like what Roger Bannister did for the 4-minute mile, Tyler Marion did for me. Over the course of our, too many years, 22 years of knowing Tyler. He's been my role model, my mentor, eventually my teammate, my captain. Stood on the medal stand with him as we did not win that gold medal. And finally, my brother and my friend. So, I want to announce this year's recipient, Tyler.
Wow. Speechless. Unfortunately, I didn't get to know Ron Plasman as well as Matt and some of the others in this room did, but all the stories that I hear about him, very genuine stories about the kind of man that he was. I feel like I missed out. As much as I've experienced in life, I feel like I missed out. So the fact that I received this award in his name is really special to me because it is a legacy, and I appreciate you guys today. I appreciate all of you in this room, and I need to process. Thank you guys so much for this. I appreciate that too.
Teared up, everybody, but as we wrap up this incredible morning together, Matt, you got me all teared up. I want to extend my deepest gratitude to all of you for joining us today. Your involvement means so much to our athletes, organization, and community. We look forward to sharing many more moments with you on this journey. Thank you for being a part of our family at USABA. Have a great rest of the day.